We got Daya over on the team 1. Are you going to be first one to go? I feel like Daya usually goes last, man, always for the finisher. We got ourselves Chief turning back in. We got us a Demoniac Wall going to be up with Chillpills on the Shadow Priest. I feel like I have to remind that every single time, but I feel like I almost have to be like, yo, Voltron, otherwise, aka known as Chills, aka known as the homie on the Shadow Priest. Because I know it's probably going to be a different clip. Maybe it's going to be a different clip on YouTube. Somebody's going to be like, who's this Volt guy? Somebody new. Oh, it's Chills. Oh, I know that guy. I know that homie. Worth of Pala. A little bit of a... Did you guys do each other? A bit of a rematch between the two. Full cooldowns available. Trying to go for a bit of a voidy eruption as the Paladin got himself full wings blaring in. Big old hammer hanging over Chill's head, trying to go for a bit of a mind games, at least trying to see if he can reverse a lot of this damage back into his self field, but the Spell Warden gonna block a lot of the damage output and gonna keep Worth of Pala plenty safe right now for Volk, aka Chillpills. It's all about surviving, it's all about living. Got himself the Void Operation to reposition, able to get himself quite a bit of a distance versus Worth of Pala. Priests don't have a ton of mobility to chase after somebody, or let alone run away, but that Void Operation at least gives you an escape plan, a plan B in case you ever need it. It's a long cooldown though. It's like a 1.5 minute cooldown, if not a 3 minute cooldown. But the man is definitely not in a great spot. Fear trinkets out of it, immediately stunned right after Volk. If he can put him away from the pillar, he'll have him in a great spot. That's going to be a big defensive for Worth of Pala. Trying to see if he can immune this stuff. Potentially big juke out of Volk though. Perfect opportunity just to end Worth of Pala, but the layered hits does keep him alive. Void bolts are going to keep him CC'd though. A bit of horrify effect. Mindflay Insanity, trying to see if he can break through his shield. Shield Avenge is going to be able to do some, but actually no, disperse out of Volk just to minimize Shield Avenge's damage. Trying to see if he can find himself a better angle versus Worth of Pala. Big executes, dots are in. Is this going to be enough? Shadow Crusher on the corner to refresh all his dots. Oh, and the man just pops like a balloon. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so good. Chicago gonna be up next. It's gonna be immediate drains by Volk. Try to go for the totem strat. It didn't work, and he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna slowly waddle over to you menacingly. It took the L on that one. He's just gonna have to play around with it. It's gonna be Siphon Rude onto Volk, and Chicago taking a bit of that damage. Volk built up a little bit of momentum and just sending it to Chicago, but not enough to kill Chicago, and Chicago is gonna end up pulling back just to get himself a reset or two. Earth Elemental is available as well. It's gonna add... That's gonna be M2 swap over to you, isn't it? But it's gonna add a little bit extra longevity for Chicago, gives him a little bit more health to work with, trying to see if he can just survive a little bit of this damage coming out. Volk also could dot up the Earth Elemental as well as Chicago and could just cleave them both down. That's not a bad idea, especially if Chicago is behind the pillar. You just stack the Earth Elite, some of the damage cleaves back onto Chicago. It's not the worst. Stun, Mind Flay, hold on, Chicago could be in a really bad spot. That's a good Flay Insanity right now. Got himself a Shadow Crusher on the corner. Chicago catching up a little bit of healing. That's going to be a big old grip onto Volk, trying to go for a mind gaze, but also trying desperately not to deal with interrupts. It is going to be a grounding totem for Chicago last second, though, just to try to see if he can avoid it. Big old torrent onto Chicago with a Flay. I think Chicago's maybe lagging a little bit. They're kind of blinking all over the place, and that might actually put him in an unwinnable situation. Burrow, yeah, last second. Not much you can really do. I think Chicago maybe having some kind of technical issues on their end. I think they were doing okay for a bit, but then at some point when they kind of just started to walk around, there's only so much they could do. Demonic paid respects. What do you, I guess maybe that's how he just pays respects. Lay down with the homies. Make sure they feel better. PI up for Haster. Full Void Eruption. Silence immediately, trying to see if he can get aggressive with Volk, and that's going to be immediate disperse out of Chill. Just trying to see if he can deal with his damage. That is a Void Torrent attacking him, but that disperse is absolutely nullifying a lot of this damage. Great use of a defensive for Haysha. It's a lot of his damage that just went out of the window. If Volk can somehow avoid bursting into Haysha disperse, it's going to be great. Got himself Void Torrent, is doing some numbers. Volk is not in a great spot health-wise either, though. Needs to be very careful. Does get himself a PI. As long as Hatred doesn't go for Dispelling it, you will be in a good spot. Silence, Mind Games, able to get himself a full go. Hatred could be looking at disperse himself as well. Quick Fear onto Volk. One of these Void Bolts may attack Hatred. No, it actually does avoid the whole corner of the arena entirely. Stunned right after. Wait, maybe. This could be good for Chills. Big Mindflay Insanity. Hatred looking to reposition. Got himself the Vampiric Embrace to give himself some longevity as he does damage so he can stay aggressive, while also retaining some of his health. Same thing happening to Volk as well. Going for a more aggressive play. Big Flay Insanity onto Volk that every time he pokes his head around the pillar, he's got to be very careful with it. Mind games from mind games, silence out of all, getting really aggressive, big burst to follow. Haitian now with the disperse. So now having to use his one big defensive. Also used up a disperse as well as a vampiric embrace. So that's 2 defensive cooldowns he may need for a little bit later. Silence, getting aggressive. Void Torrent, first up. The first one to get the Torrent. Honestly, I think he's going to be able to get himself a more winnable position. But Vol got himself plenty of those channels of Sanity, Flay, as well as Torrents. If you can get a couple more of those here and there, he'll be in a golden spot because you could really just turn this around. Haysher also not spending nearly as much time going for flash heals in order to heal himself, where Volk is trying to go aggressive flash heal whenever possible. I think Haysher is mostly just letting himself get low and is trying to play off of the value of Power Word Life and maybe trying to see if he can use that mana game to win the mana game versus Shield. Big disperse immediately, doesn't even know what's going to happen to him. Decided to go for disperse, get as much health as possible at 50% dampening. You ain't healing much, you can't even play a character, might as well press disperse. Get yourself full recovery. Gonna try to see if he can get around the corner. Yet another fade. Got himself the Mindbender as well. There's gonna be a silence. Trinket out of Volt. Trying to see if he can commit a lot of damage. Massive blast of the haze. Where the Void Shard, I think, may just have him. Oh, the tentacles are just doing work right now. Oh, it does end up taking him out. Oh my goodness. That took us a little bit of time. 2 priests fighting each other. It's a back and forth with a lot of healing, lots of CC, lots of resets, lots of setups. But man, he does end up swinging out on top. He had to get aggressive at some point. Pop trinkets, big silence, got everything thrown in there. But now it doesn't have a disperse for ring. Trying to see if you can go for a fear. Fear onto ring, fear onto the pets. That is going to be adaptation. Able to go for a stun off of that adaptation. And Volk may just be looking for line of sight and pillars. Maybe looking for line of sights and pillars. He has all these pets. They're attacking him. Is doing a lot of damage. Basilisk around the corner. Not a great spot to be in. Maybe can you find yourself another pillar? Maybe you can go for the Void of Racial. Trying to see if you can go CCing these pets with a Horrify effects. That's actually another bad idea. He's controlling a lot of the pet damage. I know pets, like why would you attack the pets? But controlling these pets where majority of rings damages, not the worst. Still trying to see if he can get himself a little bit of recovery behind the pillar. I don't know if he's got mana. Trying to go mind games to one of these pets. Maybe they'll give him a little bit of survivability. Fear onto these pets. Kill shots back to back. Does get dispersed last second, but cancels it. That is unfortunate. Power Word Life is back up. I don't know if he's using it. You may want to. I don't know if he's got mana. He may not even have mana. I don't know how you do this. Stun is available by the looks of it. Maybe you can make someone work off of it. It is going to be a pet sack, feign death for just a second. Oh, kill shot just ends here. There's just not much you can do as a priest versus a hunter. Once to get it going, my goodness. And I think BM is a good matchup for priest. I mean, from what we've seen there, yeah, definitely doesn't do bad at all. With Demonic just going in, full dots on a ring. Got road rupture and it's over. Just dots. 62% dampening after that long priest match, man. Neither priest wanted to go down. And Chill's actually proving that he's not a terrible shadow priest. You know, I feel like he's just pain and suffering of playing a Death Knight. Like, he's not much of an upgrade of a class for duels. Like, Shadow Priest is generally not the greatest dueling class, but it's an upgrade from what a Death Knight can do, let me tell you. Unless you're like unholy and all you do is just let your pets do damage and just kind of walk in, Apocalypse, chill back behind the pillar with a chain of ice spam. Shadow Priest is doing him wonders right now, man. That thing can actually heal. Demoniac trying to see if he can maybe get himself a bit of a different position versus Stinky. Trying to go for full death's blind. Trying to see if he can predict the rogue. Doesn't quite find him. Demoniac has everything for this one. Could be one of those death pack situations maybe. For a bubble or a bop. Maybe? I don't really know. Actually, that's a good question. Would you? Bubble really early before we went death pack. Vanish immediately for the rogue. He got a pretty big cooldown. Next time, he needs to go in for the most amount of damage. I think you need to go in, be ready to trinket, just end the duel right here. You're in a good spot right now. Time to make it happen. Big death shock, big death mark, I mean. Evasion's available, trying to dodge as much damage from the paladin. Full shiv, everything up. Stun, trinket. Oh, it's just done. Once you're marked for death, man, it's over. Or death mark, rather. It's over. Volk with 4? Okay, against Chicago. Chicago did lag towards the end. I didn't expect 4. My God. Chilled. New main? Hello? Guess the disperse spamming it on my own. Yeah, I saw that one. I feel like maybe that would have given you a little bit of a leg up. It was really high dampening, so it's hard to tell, right? But man, yeah.